Girl, you have got to try this Laneige lip mask. Trust me, my lips needed that love.
Love these vanilla vibes from Kayali. That top note is just so smooth. Smooth and stunning. That's what you get with this K18 hair mask.
Those brands everybody's talking about, they're at Sephora. Discover the hype with the hottest names in beauty, including Laneige, KLE, K18, and Rare Beauty. Only at Sephora.
The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Spyder with the Brutally Delicious Podcast, coming at you tonight with a live concert review. A few days ago, I attended Nonpoint's Painful Statements tour at Janus Live in St. Petersburg, Florida, supported by Crobot and Heartsick. I do apologize for the delay in getting this review out, but the show kicked so much ass I actually lost my voice. Finally recovered enough to get this review done, and what a show it was. You take three different sounds but the same energy and put them on tour together, it makes for one heck of a show. This show exuded energy. It opened with Heartsick. Now, this is a band that I'd never heard of before the tour, never listened to, so I really didn't have any idea what to expect, but they were the perfect band to open for Nonpoint. A metalcore band out of Lansing, Michigan, with aggressive vocals, heavy breakdowns, and a whole lot of energy and crowd work. The singer said he likes to spend time in the crowd, and he wasn't lying. Just about every song he came out to the guardrails, sang from there, and interacted with the crowd. At one point, he came out into the crowd and sang in the mosh pit. Another time, he came out and crowd surfed, and he actually used my arm to brace himself getting up and getting situated while everybody was trying to get him up in the air and situated as well. So that was really cool for me. Towards the end of their set, he literally jumped on the shoulders of his guitar player and sang part of a song from there while running around stage. And that's something I've only actually ever seen once that I recall from a band called Sumo Psycho, whom ironically was on tour with Nonpoint at the time that I saw them. I'm definitely a fan of these guys now. They were so entertaining to watch with some kick-ass music to boot. Check them out if you haven't heard of them. Next up was Crobot, a band I'm a little more familiar with than Heartsick, but not much. I know I've seen him at a festival somewhere along the way, but I didn't really pay that much attention to him. I know a couple of their songs from XM Radio, I think Low Life being the most prominent one, but that's really about as far as it goes in terms of knowledge of their material. But just like Heartsick, these guys were absolutely entertaining. A much different sound, more hard rock, bluesy kind of stoner rock sound, comparable to like Red Sun Rising, Miles Kennedy, and Blacktop Mojo, the other band that was on tour with Nonpoint and Sumo Psycho that I referenced earlier. Again, another perfect fit to open for Nonpoint in terms of energy. These guys were all over the stage, had the crowd moving all show, a lot of hype work for Nonpoint, just a hell of a show from these guys. And then finally, Nonpoint. One of my top 5 favorite bands all time. I've been listening to them since they came out in high school. I have all of their albums. I've seen them dozens of times. Their shows never disappoint me, and this one was no different. This was the 25th anniversary of their very first album, Statement, and the 20th anniversary of their 4th album, To the Pain. Thus, the Painful Statements tour. They played both albums in their entirety, Statement front to back, To the Pain back to front, so it was really cool to see that. But the show was also broken into a couple of sections. Before they came out and throughout the show, there was an audio recording. The lights dimmed down, and it was Elias telling the story of Nonpoint Factor, how they eventually became known as Nonpoint, how they got their first record deal with MCA Records, their uncertain future after MCA shut down, and several lineup changes, and basically how they got to this point now, 25 years later. It was amazingly produced and just made me really feel that much closer to a band that I've grown to love over the years. Again, this show was absolutely amazing, but one thing I did want to note is they played Tribute, which is the final song on Statement. It's a medley cover of several hip-hop and rap songs from the late 80s and 90s. It's a very fun song, a lot of energy out of it. But they rarely ever play it live, and I don't know that in all the times that I've seen them, I've actually ever seen them play this before. So that was a really cool, really special moment for this tour itself. And even Rashid put down the guitar for this one and joined Elias on the vocals, and just absolutely crushed the song. There's only a handful of bands that I can think of that really match Nonpoint in terms of energy, with Heartsick and Crobot being added to that list now, also including bands like Blacktop Mojo and Sumo Psycho that toured with them, as I mentioned earlier, and maybe even Tala, in terms of just how much they run around on stage and how energetic they are and how much they work the crowd. These are the types of bands that answer why you go to live shows as opposed to listening to their albums. You get a full performance, and I really can't describe it any other way than just tell you have to go experience the show to understand what I'm talking about. If you're a fan of high energy shows and nu metal, this show is a must go to. They're very early on the tour right now. There's plenty of dates left. Get out there, go see it, have a great time. And as always, this has been Spyder with the Brutally Delicious Podcast. If you like what you heard, give the Brutally Delicious Podcast a follow on social media at Brutally Delicious on all platforms, and myself at Grages on Facebook, and SpyderG300, that is Spyder with a Y, on Instagram, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Hello, Tom May here, host of Future Friday. I've spent the last 15 years on the road with my band, The Menzingers, where I've met all kinds of wild and fascinating people. So I started a podcast. On Future Friday, I talk to fellow musicians about the moments that made them, their passions outside of music, and the curiosities that tie us all together. I've also talked to the likes of UFO researchers, magicians, soldiers, and documentary filmmakers, and I'm constantly searching for folks that can shape and change our view of the world. You can check out Future Friday wherever you like.